Hi, I'm Jade Hunt,
And I'm Maggie Frederickson,
and we're from the Lehigh chapter at Lehigh High School.
and we completed the Sustainability Challenge, and our project is called the Recycling Reformation because we wanted to reform our high school into a recycling friendly community.
So this is our table of contents. We use this to organize their presentation in an orderly manner. So our main concerns when we started this project were raising awareness in our generation and the younger generations about recycling and its importance and its impact on the environment. We also really wanted to start a recycling program at our high school to help combat the paper waste that goes on there. Some goals we had, like I said above, is to start a recycling program at our high school. And we have a goal of including the Lehigh Nature Club in this so they can help us continue pickups after me and Maggie have graduated. We also really wanted to work with an association, but due to COVID-19, we are unable to do so.
So, the formal plan part of our project, we did research in our community to find out what the needs were. We did this by conducting surveys and by talking to teachers. And we discovered that there was a real problem with getting teachers' recyclable materials into the receptacle, which was really inconveniently located. In order to combat this, we created a recycling pickup program, which made sure that those materials made it into the pickup, into the receptacle. We also created three different presentations for three different audiences in our high school, which educated about recycling. And we followed up by conducting surveys and gaining verbal feedback in order to improve.
So, in order to find current and reliable research, we looked at URLs such as .gov, .edu, and .org, and we also took information from well-known sites such as National Geographic. We gathered information on how Americans impact the environment around us and how different types of materials break down. As you can see here, this is four pictures of the websites we use the most to gather our information. So we decided to focus mainly on paper recycling with our project because of the amount of waste that goes on at our high school. Lehigh High uses about 400,000 pieces of paper a month, which ends up being 3,800,000 pieces of paper at the end of the school year, which is a lot. And before we started this recycling program, basically none of it made its way into the recycling. But after we started the recycling program, we began to see a general increase in the amount of papers that were actually being recycled. And due to COVID-19, since we were unable to continue the recycling pickups, we decided to try recycling and reusing different items at home. And as you can see right here on the right, we decided to make a necklace made out of glass and paper beads, and also a pencil box that we repurposed from a soda box carton.
So our pickup was our way of creatively filling a need that we found. We completed three different pickups, as Jade said, before COVID put a stop to our physical interaction. But we had plans to continue the pickup every other week throughout the rest of the school year, and then even in future years, despite the fact that Jade and I will be graduating seniors. We began including many different groups of people, including the clubs that you can see on the left here, and as well as the audiences with our presentations. And we hope to include more of the general student body in the future.
So, in order to achieve overall environmental responsibility, we really wanted to try and focus on making sure any materials used within our project could either be recycled or reused. We also had to make sure whenever we picked up the recycling bins for the recycling pickups that there was no trash in them, because even just the smallest bit of trash can actually contaminate and ruin the entire recycling process. In order to combat this, as you can see right here on the right, we've made a poster and emailed it to the teachers for them to post above the recycling bin. And we told them that if we continued finding trash in the recycling bins, we would no longer be able to pick them up due to the potential of contaminating the entire recycling process.
So we evaluated the overall success of our project in two different ways, the presentations and the pickup itself. We evaluated the presentations based on surveys and verbal feedback that we gained from the audience, and we evaluated the pickup by participation and the quantity of recycled materials. We have several ideas for positive change, including the idea of working with this organization, which is called Stitching Hearts Worldwide. We have plans to work with them to repurpose scraps of fabric in order to create COVID masks, which would fill a really global need right now.
So our first educational presentation was given on January 28th of 2020, and we gave this to the preschool class located at our high school. This class consists of children aged 3 to 5.
There were several benefits of teaching this audience. One came from the idea of teaching children the importance of recycling while they're young, create a habit of recycling, which results in more recycled materials over time. We also knew that because children are not an isolated unit, any information that we shared with them could also be shared with their families, which is what FCCLA is all about, and it broadens the reach of our project. We also knew it would benefit children because they could have confidence in the fact that they know how to reduce their own environmental footprint.
The second educational presentation we gave was on January 31st of 2020, and we gave this to the interior design class located at our high school with the idea in mind that the materials they use within this class can either be recycled or reused.
We also thought it was fitting to present to this class because it's a CTE course, which makes it affiliated with FCCLA. And we also knew that we could benefit our audience because we were giving them exposure to a really potentially fulfilling opportunity that is available to them by joining FCCLA.
So our final educational presentation was given on March 6th of 2020, and we gave this to participants participating in the recycling pickup. This includes members of Nature Club, GSA, and FCCLA.
So the benefits of this audience was twofold. We benefited as the presenters, and our audience benefited as well. We benefited by having such an informed group about this topic preview our presentation, and they were able to help us be confident in the fact that the information we shared was accurate and relevant. We also benefited them because we gave them an outlet for this information that Nature Club specifically has become so passionate and so knowledgeable about. We gave them an outlet for that information because they don't always have the audience for those things that they have gained. We evaluated the effectiveness of our presentations through the use of surveys that were given before and after each presentation. This was a question that gauged our audience's overall knowledge of recycling and how they would rate themselves. As you can see before our presentation, the results were pretty widespread and varied, but afterwards they were consistently grouped in the higher ranking. This is a question or two questions that were given after our presentation just to kind of gain an idea of whether or not our presentation was beneficial. And as you can see, we had a 100% yes ratio to that idea.
So recycling actually relates to a lot more than people realize. Take sewing, for example, an FCS class, or even fashion construction. A lot of fabric and paper scraps are produced during this class, and they can actually be reused or recycled. During quarantine, since I had so much time at home and my grandmother's been making masks, I decided to use the extra scraps to make a quilt. And like I said, many different projects and different things can actually be recycled at home. You can take a spaghetti jar and put your leftover food in there, and really you can do a lot of stuff with recycling, but you also have to be really careful with what you bring into the home, because a lot of the products that we buy actually have a lot of unnecessary packaging that is bad for our environment. The jobs that actually relate to recycling are health science, because when you just throw something away, it will eventually make its way to the landfill. And as it sits there and rots in the landfill, it will produce gases that make its way into the atmosphere, and then we breathe it in and it affects our health. The same thing can be said with construction, because it generates a bunch of scraps and building material, and especially with the plastic building material, when it breaks down, it doesn't biodegrade at all. It just breaks down into smaller and smaller pieces called microplastics. And these microplastics eventually make its way into our food chain, and we ingest it. And this can lead to various cancers, weakened immune systems, and even more. And really, it happens when the particles are ingested into our body and the chemicals are leached from these microplastics and absorbed. So this is our first recycling pickup that happened January 24th of 2020. This is our second recycling pickup that happened February 6th of 2020. And then our third recycling pickup was March 6th of 2020.
And this is evidence of our plans to duplicate the pickup in future years.
This is a works cited page listed in MLA formatting, and overall, me and Maggie have learned a lot, and we've decided it's better to recycle every day instead of throwing paper and plastic away. Thank you.
Thank you.